by an interest group?
I think I heard something today like Trump is, I don't know if it's privately or publicly kind of going after Fauci just because he's a little angry with how much he's contradicting him, which doesn't make any sense because he's
Because I'm like, but
just
didn't you
speaking
bring him in?
science.
Like, didn't you bring him in to lead the talks? Like,
I mean, yeah, he did, and like he knows what he's talking about, and so it's kind of, I mean, that's a bad look for Trump, that ad, but it'll be even worse if he does like publicly attack Fauci or something.
but like,
Especially if like the president orders the economy to open back up and then everyone goes back out and then there's a resurgence of the virus.
well, I actually had been going back and forth with my fiance about this yesterday. I mean, because what else can we talk about during Easter dinner while playing video games? It was like eventually we have to leave the house. Like, it's not cabin fever on my part, but what is it? 10%? What, upwards, or is it 10 million? 10% of people are already unemployed or underemployed. We only have
I
12.
saw a graph today that was the unemployment rate or like people who have filed for unemployment um, in the past like 50 years, and right now completely dwarfs like any other time just because
So we've
everyone
already
the entire
exceeded.
economy's shut down.
We've already exceeded what, 08 and 09, the Great
I think
Recession.
so, yeah.
It is. It is unfeasible. It is. I can't even articulate the proper words. Like, just like the way that we're almost at a standstill. And like, I don't know about like your parents, but like luckily my grandmother is retired. But for people who aren't, who work in industries that require them to leave every day, and they're not, and and they're considered non-essential work, there's essential, what I'm saying, there's no money coming in. The lights, you can't pay for the lights, or hell, you can't even buy food. Food banks are running out of food because everybody's getting it. Like, there is no way, like, we can we can stay the way that we are and maintain this without any sort of massive consequences for our economy or even other people's economies. So like, even for other nations, because we consume a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Also, Elizabeth just told me her Wi-Fi is messed up, so she asked me to tell you that she's going to try to rejoin if she can, because she got disconnected because of her Wi-Fi.
Okay, and if not, I guess what I can start doing is, if you really want to see videos and stuff, I guess we'll edit this little piece out of the YouTube version. Send me an email and I'll figure out a way to post it and share it via Google Drive if you want the whole thing.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can catch the stripped down version on the YouTube.
Yeah. Plus, I just found, so I guess Trump's Twitter account retweeted a tweet that had, that was pro firing Fauci. It said like hashtag fire Fauci in it, and his account like did something with that.
And we're just gonna rely on the general surgeon.
I guess he's lashing out because Fauci has criticized how slowly the government responded to Corona. I don't know. He's an idiot. It's fine.
I mean, all of this is just, we're crying over spilled milk now. I guess it's all fun and games until we've actually exceeded Italy's numbers, which is not that hard. I mean, proportionally, what is it? The population of Italy is what, smaller than Texas, the state of Texas, or is it California? Point is, it's smaller than one of these large states we have. So so mathematically speaking, and y'all know I'm not a math major, it was only going to be a matter of time. But, so where was I? Because I also have like other ads and other interviews too. So of course, on last week, aired the first half of political parties, because political parties, talking about the history of it is interesting, but But now we're going to talk about interest groups and lobbying and all that great stuff, because I have like an interesting activity, or more so a discussion for us to have. So I guess, let's see, was there anything else? Oh, you missed the first part. Apparently the Trump campaign is out here suing radio and TV stations for airing the ad I showed you all when we first transitioned over to Zoom, the one from Priorities USA that has Trump speaking, and it shows like the exponential graph for the number of U.S. coronavirus cases. Yeah, he's suing for that, which I thought was wild. Because
He's suing?
Yeah, he is suing TV
Okay.
stations and radio stations for airing that ad.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's their First Amendment right, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, he's suing for defamation of character.
Yeah, is he saying it's like a libel or slander?
Yeah, and so I was saying that the thing about libel and slander and defamation cases, the burden of proof is on the plaintiff. So the campaign will have to demonstrate how was it wrong, defamation. And then usually campaigns and candidates don't sue TV, media outlets for airing certain ads. Instead, they usually sue for lack of access to buy, time and airspace to air their own ads, or being invited to participate in media sponsored events like town halls, debates, interviews, things of that sort. And then if someone does add like a egregious ad, you usually don't sue them for that. You sue the creators of the ad. And so, if you want to learn more, we get really nitty gritty into this in voters and elections, and to a lesser extent in media and politics when we talk about like the creation and what is it called? Yeah, the anatomy of an attack ad, because they are fun. But let's talk about interest groups, because interest groups matter. So, where was I? So there is a push and pull. We all can see the slides, right? Like now I have to start asking because like I showed an ad to Miranda and Maddie and they didn't see the ad. And so I'm now self-conscious. So anyways, the pull, there's a push and pull in organizing political activity here in America. And this push and pull is pluralism at work. The pull part is that, not the pull part. The push part is the fact that groups seek to influence government for benefits and policies they prefer. However, the role of interest groups in providing the information to the government is not really explored much in American politics until you get to grad school. Like, I did not learn exactly how interest groups work until actually I got to grad school. Prior to that, the only thing that we were taught about interest groups is that AARP is an interest group, NAACP is an interest group. They're like pointing out various examples of interest groups. And that's what they are. You don't need to know anything about them because you don't have any interest. I'm like, I do have interest. They're just not, politically inclined interests. So, what the heck is an interest group? All an interest group is just an organized group of individuals or organizations that make policy-related appeals to the government. If we recall from the little bit we talked about federalism in the Federalist Papers, or if you can recall from your own high school U.S. history classes, interest groups were considered Madison's answer to expanding government and making sure that everyone had access, or actually just be able to prevent the tyranny of the minority. So in particular, Madison argued that there is a dilemma inherent in interest group activity. On one hand, allowing individuals to form groups to press their demands on the government is the essence of freedom, and limiting that freedom would, create a tyranny. Let's see. Yep. And so ultimately, as a result of the presence and diversity of these interest groups, the American government will ultimately be comprised of compromise and negotiation as well as moderation. And so with this compromise, negotiation, and moderation leads into the concept of pluralism. So this is different than the pluralism that we would see in elections. That the pluralism that we see in elections refers to first past the post. But this pluralism instead just talks about the system in which many groups, interests, or ideas exist, and they share political power. And of course, the upside or downside of the fact that there's variety in the types and numbers of interest groups is that some groups can get it together more easily than others can. And so, majority of organized interests or economic interests. And so, what do we mean by economic interests? As we were talking about before, money, markets, one's income, retirement funds, banking, etc. And so here are some examples of interest groups that focus primarily on economic interests. You know, the American Farm Bureau Federation, the AFL-CIO, the American Medical Association, looking out for doctors. To a lesser extent, actually not even a lesser extent, AARP, American Association for Retired Persons. It's making sure their rights are there. Many unions, labor unions, economic interests. Which are the larger ones that are actually, I'm trying to think about which interest groups that are based on unions are super huge. Would it be the Teamsters? Teamsters? I can't remember the name of the interest group that represents teachers. So of course most states have like a teachers union, or there are a few states that have them, but there is an interest group that represents all those various state level teachers unions. But that is another example. There's a nursing federation, NSB. Their point is there are a lot of interest groups that focus primarily on the economic interests of a specific sub-area. And so what do these groups need? Money, members, and leadership. Not just a shared intrinsic bond or identification with this thing. No, it's more than that. Groups with more members are more powerful. The AARP, as I talked about before, is super powerful because it represents so many active voters, so many old people, so many. All you need to do in order to become a member of the AARP is turn 55. As soon as you turn 55, they will actually send you a little card in the mail and say, congratulations, you're now a member of AARP. Here are the times for the matinees, the senior citizen matinees, as well as the brunch and other activities you now qualify for. And then that's that.
How do they make money? Do you have to pay like membership dues, or do they just make money by charging to enter events, or like?
So it varies. So there are AARP like local chapters. I don't know anyone who is like an active member of AARP. But they exist. The way in which AARP makes its money is, I believe the bulk of it is through those different deals that they have with various vendors. So like the one I can think about was like prior to their consumer cellular, what's it called? I watch a lot of TV. Y'all know that. They used to have a exclusive plan with Jitterbug. So that was like the old people's cell phone. And so like for every older member that bought a phone plan, AARP would get kickback. They also have plans with a lot of life insurance policies, life insurance companies. Because for a long time, Alex Trebek used to sell, well, not sell it, but he would be the spokesperson for, Colonial Mutual? One of those companies, life insurance companies that had a deal with AARP. There's those. I think now they're trying to get involved with other social outreach groups because, baby boomers are retiring or will retire. And so they're trying to figure out ways to engage with that branch too. But primarily they get their money from kickbacks. If local chapters of the AARP charge membership dues, I would not be surprised. But you do not have to contribute, you do not have to pay membership dues to be considered a member of AARP. They make it so that as soon as you turn 55, you already are a member. It could just also be basic tier membership. And if you want to access the higher parts, you pay money. It's all weird. But no, the reason why they're successful is because they have a lot of members and they make great deals. Let's see. Even though you have members, you still need money to maintain the organization and fund the activities, such as lobbying, voter education, etc. The AARP doesn't necessarily lobby or provide voter education the same way that we would see for other more socially or politically focused interest groups. So for this bullet point, they're referring to the more social aspects. I'm thinking right now the NAACP, the Urban League, let's see, others that are young. I don't know if GLAAD actually does voter education and voter registration. I would not be surprised if they did, but I had never heard anything about that. But there are, so these are more related to socially focused interest groups. And then regardless of if they're economic focused, politically focused, socially focused, groups with access and organizational discipline are far more successful. So for example, there was a grad student interest group, organization that is now trying to create their larger own interest group, and one in California. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to this, but I have, because I used to be a grad student. At a lot of schools, grad students are trying to unionize in ways to make sure that they receive living stipends and proper compensation for their work as RAs and TAs. California has been far more successful than Chicago has been, Illinois has been. And part of the reason for that is because not for some reason, California, the infrastructure is there to allow for the grad students to actually organize and actually figure out how to be disciplined. There was a quick time at OSU where they tried to unionize, and it actually never worked out. And the biggest reason for that is because there were so many differences between the various disciplines. So STEM grad students, their trajectory looks a lot different than grad students who are in the humanities versus those who are in the social sciences. And then do you even consider grad students, but medical school students, law school students, veterinary school, dentistry, etc. Do we consider those to be quote unquote grad students too, because they're because they're working on advanced degrees? It gets harder. The more and more people, or the more and more interests you're trying to unite, it becomes difficult. And there is nothing harder than trying to get a whole bunch of students, regardless grad or undergrad, to get together and try to push forth a goal or achieve a goal. But let's now describe what kind of people are more likely to be in interest groups. Surprise! The more money you have, the more likely you are to be involved in some sort of interest groups. People with higher incomes and higher levels of education, far more likely to be involved. And so there is, as a result, a bias in the interest group system that prioritizes those of a higher SES. So those with a lower SES can be represented by some groups, but ultimately political parties do a better job of representing the interests of those of lower SES than interest groups do. Why? Because interest groups are niche. You have the time and opportunity to focus on the specialized interests that you are, and as such, interest groups. If you're trying to look for that same type of representation in political parties, you're not going to get it. So let's see. Periods of significant change or social or economic upheaval can usually signal a burst of group activity. And so anytime there is any type of strife or major change, you best believe that you'll see the creation and uptick in the rise in the creation and involvement of interest groups. Noteworthy, what was that, during the 60s, NAACP shot through the roof, and other local organizations like that, Black Panthers, etc. In response to the Great Recession, 08-09, the Tea Party. The Tea Party was not necessarily a political party. They were a politically minded, politically focused interest group. Even though really you would call them a faction. But they would still be listed, considered as a group, the way that Lowy et al. Is describing. Other examples, Black Lives Matter, another one. A group, a faction with a set list of goals, but it's not like there's a Black Lives Matter club. I'm trying to see if others, the white supremacy groups, would they be considered an interest group? Yeah, because the KKK is considered a interest group, but still socially, politically focused. So interest groups facilitate cooperation. Groups of individuals might have common goals, but it's really difficult to get them to cooperate and work together. And so this leads into my discussion that I wanted us to have. So let's say you and your friend, you all decide to disregard the shelter in place rule and just decide to go out. I don't know what you all decide to do. Maybe you all just decide to go to the mall and didn't realize that the mall was shut down. So you're leaving the mall and all of a sudden SWAT teams have circled you and arrested you and your friend. The police believe they have enough evidence to convict both of you of just trespassing, but nothing large enough, not enough evidence to accuse you of, of terroristic plans or intention. Yeah, it would be terrorism or terroristic plans. So let's say, there was rumors that you all went to the mall to purposefully pass out the coronavirus because y'all have it. This makes it a more realistic example. But at most, they only have evidence to convict you of trespassing. So they want you to snitch on your friend. And of course, they've offered you the same deal. Now, what is the same deal? If you snitch, if you both snitch on each other, you each get 3 years in prison for violating, because martial law. Anyways, if you snitch and your friend does not, you get to go free and your homeboy or homegirl gets 6 years. If you both keep quiet, you each get 1 year. And your friend has been offered the same deal. So, once again, if you both snitch on each other, you each get 3 years. If you tell on your friend and your friend remains quiet, you go free and your friend gets 6 years. If you both keep quiet, you only each get 1 year. So what are you going to do? Are you going to snitch on your friend or not snitch?
Well, not snitch because you both then only get 1 year.
But you don't know what your friend is going to do.
I would have faith in my friend to also not snitch.
So Henry believes that he and his homeboy will not snitch on each other. What say the rest of you?
Snitches get stitches.
But you won't get those stitches for 6 years, though.
I'd say no, don't snitch.
So we have 2 for no snitching.
Depends on who I'm with, but probably not snitch. Unless I'm with somebody who's really flaky, in which case, they're going down.
So consider this to be, I don't know, your bestest friend from college. The both of y'all are freshmen. Your homeboy, your homegirl that you met just this year. Consider yourselves close, but not really close. You're not, y'all didn't go to grade school together. Would you snitch on that friend?
No?
Even though you don't know if that friend would snitch on you?
I wouldn't.
And so how would you feel if you found out the friend snitched on you? So you decided to remain quiet, but your friend told on you. You're just going to be happy with going to jail for 6 years?
I wouldn't be surprised. I have really bad luck, so I'm sure.
And you're willing to resign yourself to that. That's wild. So I'm going to tell you all now why all of you answered incorrectly. So what you're actually supposed to do is snitch. Not because, Dr. Mac is a flaky friend, but there is a rationale to it. So ultimately, let me do this right. So what I just gave you is try to be a modernized version of the prisoner's dilemma. So basically, you have to look at it from the perspective of prisoner A. So let's see. He's faced with a binary decision. Either you tell or you don't tell, as seen by these arrows here, the blue column here. And so if you tell, you either, and your friend tells, you each get 3 years. However, if you tell and your friend doesn't tell, you can actually walk away. And, your friend, you fuck what happens to your friend. Meanwhile, if you remain quiet and your friend does tell, you are the one that's going to jail for 6 years. And if neither of you tell, then it works out. But the reason why you have to prioritize the don't tell part is because you have, if you tell, you have 3 outcomes. And 2 of those outcomes are actually all 3 appear to be nice. You either go to jail for a year, you can get out, or you only get 3 years, which is better than not telling and you get 6 years. You have 3 opportunities for a better outcome. Or in particular, you have 1 opportunity to get out and 2 not so bad options. Which of course is the same thing for prisoner B. And so the collective action option would be that each of you tell. Ultimately, the reason why the prisoner's dilemma is such is because at the end of the day, it is far more rational to focus on your own self-interest than to set that aside and think about the interests of the collective group as a whole. So that's the problem. And I can't believe all of you were so trusting. As I'm thinking about this, the second time I taught this class, I only had 2 students in the class. And I did the same example with them. And I saw a friendship fall apart, it's hilarious. So like 2 students, we've gotten to know each other. We became really close because it's only 2 of us. And I showed the example. One of the students at the time was a freshman. The other person was a sophomore. And the sophomore is, he's majoring in accounting. He has his whole life planned out. Like what he was going to do that summer, everything, etc. And when I showed the example, the freshman was like, oh, I would never snitch on you. We've gotten to know each other. We're really close. And I'm almost certain you wouldn't snitch on me. And the sophomore was like, oh, I'm telling on you in a heartbeat. Like, I have my whole life planned out. You think I'm going to risk it for you? I told you not to go out with me anyways. And I think something did happen because it got real. And so... But it was so interesting to see the ways in which the prisoner dilemma actually happened in real time. And so, wow, it is actually 3:01. We did not make it a little bit further than I thought, but that is okay. So I will finish this slide, and then, yeah, most definitely we will still be live on Wednesday. But, yeah. But regardless of that, what is the perk of being in a group? There are selective benefits. And all these selective benefits are just perks that go only to those who contribute to the group. And these perks can be informational, material, solidarity, purposive. And so when we were thinking about what the AARP provides, these are these selective benefits I'm talking about. And those, the discounts on life insurance, cell phones, these are all material based. And so what are informational benefits? They provide information, straightforward, give you information on things they perceive to be of interest to members like you. Material benefits, it could be money, it can be discounts, it can be free trips, etc. Solidarity, it's the solidarity benefits refer to that intrinsic benefit, that development, that feel-good feeling you get as a result of being in an organization. It's like, hooray, I have friends, I'm in a circle. It's that solidarity you feel if you decide to pledge whatever Greek life you do feel. It's that's solidarity. And then finally, purposive, it's being involved in a group that is striving to achieve a goal that you find very important. If I joined an interest group that was all about ending student loans, that's the only reason why I'm with those knuckleheads. I want to end student loans. And so we will pick up here on Wednesday. Maddie is also presenting on that day, so keep that in mind too. Wednesday we'll continue here and start on, the ending section. What is that? Something. Oh, the whole American public policy section, the last 3 chapters. We've made it to the end, y'all. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, that's what we'll do on Wednesday. And I will upload this after class. I will see y'all here on 2:15 on Wednesday. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.